Hey, this is Steven from LegitTechTutorials, and we are on Java Intermediate Tutorial number 15, which is handling exceptions. So now we're going more towards the intermediate and then eventually advanced. So we're going to go over more professional setup programs. So, for example, let's say that we got rid of this particular guy. And what are exceptions? Exceptions are always what you see. For example, let's say you do scanner scan equals new scanner. You say system.in, right? So that, and then you say scan. Say scan.next int. Let's say you store an int equals int scanner equals scan.nextInt. Okay, so then so you do this. I believe there's going to be illegal arguments. So let's say, see, it doesn't say terminated yet. So we're gonna type in a string. Bam, throws an error. Input mismatch exception. So there is an exception there. Now we're gonna go over some ways to catch an exception like that and be able to deal with that. So, for example, what you would do is you would do something similar to a wait, hold up. Let me go back here. So, you do something similar to an if or a while or a for loop, but you're going to do a try loop. So, it's going to try this. Oops. And we'll go ahead and stay with the oops. Okay, there we go. So, and then we're going to have a catch part of the loop, which is similar to an else or an else if. So that was a input mismatch exception. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to say exception. I'm going to say illegal system.out.println Okay, there we go. And now if we run this and we do it again, now it catches. And it doesn't give you this weird, error type thing and crashes the program. Because when you get an error like that, the compiler throws an exception, then it will crash your program. Your program stops and ceases, and it won't tell you anything, right? Most of the time when you have some sort of Windows application and it crashes, it just, it says, it'll pop up a pop-up box. And this is what the example of the pop-up box will be. So this is before. So we're going to go ahead and cut this. So this is before. Oh, okay, well, yeah, you get the point. That was before. It would give you exception like this, and then after is something like this. It gives you a nice little prompt saying that you didn't insert. You could say didn't insert a int or was expecting an int, that type of thing. So how would you do something like this? For example, let's say you're reading a file or something. You basically have to pretend. I'm not trying to be pretty harsh on words, but try that you're an idiot and do some sort of throw anything at that. Throw anything that would make your program fail. You're going to debug it by making your program fail. You're going to test it, make it fail, see what exception it throws, just like I did. Put the catch in here and catch that exception and handle that exception. So basically, you got to test your program. You got to try to make it break. Break your program, penetration test it type thing, I guess you could call it. but keep hitting it with random things until it breaks, and then handle the exception. You know, do everything that's possible that the user could possibly enter, and then catch that exception. So let's do another sort of try. We're gonna do so we're gonna say scanner in equals new scanner. Then we're gonna say let's say new file. So this is gonna be a file, and we're not gonna have that file, whatever.txt. We're going to close that, and we're going to say string input equals in.next. And we're going to say process input. Let's just do this. So now let's see what it throws. See right here, file not found exception. So that's what we were expecting, and we tested it. We said, okay, there's no file there. Whatever.txt does not exist. So we're going to go ahead and copy this guy. Copy this guy and put it into this catch block here. And we're going to say file does not exist. I'm going to say file does not exist. Now when we run it, it says file does not exist. And now I believe if you have, you know, system.out.println and you say I'm here, it should just roll past that and not completely crash your program. See? Now the computer continues to run. Now let's say that we did some sort of gibberish here. We did an IO exception. Import IO exception. So it's not going to throw that. Or I guess it would. So let's go here and get rid of the try block and run it. Now it crashes and you don't see the I'm here. So the catch allows us to catch that exception and continue running on with our program, or do something to solve that problem. Create the file or do whatever. Or tell the user that, hey, you know, this is no good. Go out, create this file, then come back, then try it again type thing. Now, back to the try block. So, for example, the last thing I wanted to say is, as you noticed in the other file writing, on all the files in the buffer input and output type thing, basically what you have to do is you have to close it. So, for example, so we're going to say in.close, right? If we were writing, so if it were to, let's say we were going to do this guy. So let's do this guy. So we're going to do print writer out equals new print writer file name. Okay, and I close it. Whatever, string. Okay, so now we do have that guy, and then we're gonna say, so we have the file. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to write it. So now we're going to say write data out. Now let's say for example this write data does something, right? So we're going to say system dot, we're going to say out dot println, we're going to say, you know, something. Now you need to close the out, right, in order to write the file. So let's say somewhere in your program an exception gets thrown and you don't catch it, so the program crashes. Now there's a big problem there because everything that your user was doing is now lost, because with this print writer you need to close the file in order to write the file. So you need to do this out.close. So we have a block for that. It's called finally. So it's saying that if something were to happen, I need a failsafe and need to make sure that you write the file. So and it'll also go to this finally, so if there wasn't a problem thrown, it will still go to the finally and finish. But if there is a problem that's thrown and there's not a catch block, you don't catch it, and it doesn't continue, it will go straight to the finally and close that this file buffer here. So it will finish that and write the file and make sure that you have completed everything that you need inside of your program and no data is lost. All the data is saved. For example, let's say you made a video game and you get, you play for 4 hours and then your game crashes, and it's supposed to save when you exit the game normally, but in this chance it cancels, and now you just lost your save. You just lost the last 4 hours, right? But in this case you have a finally, so if it crashes, it's going to go into the finally, finish it, and then leave out. So that's what the finally is for. Also, if there is something thrown, it will also go after the catch block. It will go into the finally as well. So it says here, after completing the last statement of the try block, after completing the last statement of a catch clause, if the try block caught an exception. So basically, when this try block is finished and there's no exception, it'll go to the finally. If this try block caught an exception in a catch block, it will go into the finally after it goes through the catch block. So let's say we have a catch, blah blah blah, whatever, and then you say this. So if this guy has no exception, it will skip the catch block and go to the finally block. If this guy does have an exception and is not caught in the catch block, it'll go to the finally. If there is an exception and it is caught, it'll go try, throws an exception, goes in the catch, does the catch, then goes into the finally. So basically every single time it'll go into the finally. So you're safe by having this out.close, because in every case it will go in this out.close and save your file, and you're not in your client or whatever is not going to lose anything. So now let's go over really quickly, kind of a weird looking thing. So let's say we want to create our own exception. So we're going to say insufficient, we'll call it cheese amount or something. Now let's say you want to, do that. So we're going to want to throw new inefficient cheese amount exception. Then we could go and create that exception by going file, new, and then we're going to go, file, new, class, then we're going to call it insufficient cheese, amount. And then we're going to do no public main from a superclass, and the superclass is going to be what's it extending? It's going to extend illegal argument exception java.lang. And then we're going to go ahead and do finish. And there you go, insufficient cheese mount. And so you would do something in here, right? Pretty basic. It's basically extending this guy. So whatever happens in this guy will do unless you change it. So that's basically, yeah. And then you could extend it by, accepting strings here. These are accepting strings and a type of throwable. And that's about it. So this one I'm not going to go too far into. We'll just use the basic ones that we got here for now, and then maybe we'll go into this later. So we're going to go ahead and close that. Alright, so that's basically it. That's how to make your programs more professional and catch errors so your system doesn't crash like you see here by throwing exception. As of now, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with exceptions when you don't type it in exactly as I have it and at the very end. So you know what they're like, and it'll tell you the exception right here after the dot. So you just drag and copy this exception, put a catch block, and then finish it. As you see here, it says it goes into this main. It says throws file not found exception. So it knows what it's going to throw, and it's going to throw that. So we're going to say try. Then we're going to have a catch block. So here you could add a comma and add in more stuff here. You could add file not found exception. You could do an IO exception. You basically list all the ones. It could throw it or it could not throw it. Doesn't really matter. And you see it's all good. So that's basically how you set it up. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just kind of more for your knowledge. I might be using it later on. I might not. We'll have to see. But this is basically something to make your programming more professional and maybe keep you from pulling your hair out when you see something. You see this and you're like, what the heck does this mean? You could actually have a text come out that says this is what happened. So this is just for your own knowledge type thing. So this has been Steven from LegitTechTutorials, and this is Java, Intermediate Java, tutorial number 15. Please stay tuned for number 16, which is going to be a converter program, which is going to be another practice, and we'll continue on from there. So subscribe for more videos like this and other future series, and stay tuned for the next video, and thank you for watching.